Catwoman has started a new arc. She has a new costume. It's a new era. I like talking about Catwoman, especially when she has a new costume, so let's go. In 2024, DC Comics began its All-In initiative, which launched in tandem with the Absolute Universe. On the All-In side, which is the main timeline, the books started new story arcs, and in some cases got new creative teams. This was the case for Catwoman, going from Tini Howard and Carmine Di Giandomenico in issue 68 to Torren Groenbeck with art by Fabiana Mascolo and colors by Patricio Del Peche in issue 69. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and let's chat a new beginning for Catwoman. I don't know why I paused like that. It was a stereotypical Captain Kirk pause. The first thing to know is that this is indeed a new storyline. This hits the ground running, doing its own thing. You don't need to read the past arc. In fact, reading it won't help you because this is just so different. And it's not just in terms of plot, it's in terms of tone, atmosphere, pacing, and as was already mentioned, she's got a new costume. They put it on the cover. There were variants. Now, there are a lot of outings in the All-In initiative, so in the spirit of being able to talk about as many as possible, this is going to be a bit more of a casual video. It's not going to be as much of a panel-by-panel, in-depth, play-by-play. We're going to kind of go over it, general impressions, discuss that kind of thing. Time of recording, issue 69, I can hear some of you snickering, and 70 are out. So that's what we're going to be working with in terms of discussion. However, those two have enough of an identity that if you read those, you'll get a sense as to whether or not this run is most likely to be for you. Because from the first two issues, you can kind of see that this has more of a neo-noir, mystery thriller type thing going on. The focus of this is also firmly on Selina. This is Selina and Selina separate from not just Batman and Bruce in that romance, but also Gotham. Now, Miles is going to vary on her being pulled back from Bruce in that relationship, depending upon how one feels about that, how much of a Batcat person they are. And also, you never know, Batman could just pop up, surprise Batman. But that's not the impression that this work gives off so far. Issue 69, which is part of the story No Further Bets, which is a fitting name for an all-in initiative because it's got that kind of gambling casino thing carrying through. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. If it was, well done. This issue starts off with an injured Selina hiding out. As her apartment is being watched, someone's after her, they're trying to kill her. Selina Kyle wakes up to the news of her own death. So right away, this is going in strong to create the what is going on hook. The death is not of Selina Kyle, but of one of her past identities, Evie Hall. This seems to be a new fake past identity. Of course, if I missed it, I'm sure someone will let me know. Side note, Catwoman's dress is doing the most, pushing all of the limits with the depth and breadth of that slit and what is not underneath it. My word. Now, Catwoman is in one of her safe houses as she's trying to piece out just what happened, what is going on. And the reader is meant to be drawn into this question with her. And that can be something that happens whether they just jumped in or if they're coming from the past issue because it's so different. And here we get to see a sample of the tone Groenbeck seeks to establish. The officers watching her apartment are good, but not good enough. They have disguised themselves as people they would ignore, non-people, the invisible backdrop to any city. Never for a moment considering that not everyone thinks like them. But Selina Kyle knows the strays on her streets. What the hell is going on? So that's a nice nod to the fact that Selina calls her gang strays, which is in keeping with her whole Catwoman theme. Gotta stay on brand. The strays have featured more heavily in different arcs. Now, Selina opens her phone and finds that she's wanted in connection with a shooting at a fundraiser. So Selina Kyle is wanted for domestic terrorism, and Evie Hall is dead, murdered in Berlin. I'm sorry, but this dress is just everything. Also, that's not exactly what the headline said, Selina. Selina is in a bit more of her activist mode in this, which is something that one will have seen depending upon the different depictions. It's not constant, and it's usually in conjunction with something that's going on, but there are moments like this where it can create a bit of a disconnect if one isn't in tune with the fact that that's the wavelength she's on. Because otherwise it may read like, why is she saying that when the headline says something different? Now, Selina takes this alongside the news of Evie's death as some kind of message, perhaps a warning. Although alternatively, you could look at it as a threat. Although warning could mean threat also, depending upon how you took it. We do get a flashback to what led up to her state, which means more of the dress, and more dialogue that has a bit of a Miles May Vary tone. Last night had been like any other night. Capitalism is the ultimate pyramid scheme. I mean, it took us a while to get here, but we're at the point where there's no more room to grow. She had been careless, pushing the patience of her mark. Every line is optimized, every margin is squeezed, the quality suffers, and the downline is pressed. Now, the man she's with is shot, and she escapes. But all of this brings us back to the present and the fact that the bullet was most likely meant for her. It also is confirmed later on that there is an open hit out on Selina Kyle. So the mystery is then set of who's trying to kill her and why. In the midst of this, she dons a new Catwoman costume. Now, Catwoman has had many costumes, and this one has some vestiges of a few. I posted, a lot of people were saying the different elements that they were seeing inside of it. Like, some said they saw some Batman adventures, that it had some of the sleekness of the Cook one, but didn't have that same appeal of the goggles. Some people were feeling that it looked a bit like the armpit one that was the version before the purple one she was just wearing. Some people felt that there was some of the Batman elements in there. Other people felt that they saw some Halle Berry in there. Some were feeling 90s Daredevil vibes. some Ultimate Black Cat. This costume went through many iterations. Fabian Mascola has a bunch of the various designs up on Twitter. It's pretty cool to look at them. The final version originally had goggles, but they didn't make it. The one thing that people agreed upon was that they couldn't decide how they felt about the shoulders. Some people were very into it, très chic, others not so much. And for some the sentiment was just meh. So please, discuss. I love talking about a Catwoman costume. I do like the softness of this image overall. There's a kind of sensual vibe they're going for with some of this, though some argued they felt that it made the costume kind of look a bit washed out and that it didn't pop. Now, one of the more interesting elements that's being dealt with in this hunt for Selina is the addition of her face being mapped and uploaded, so that even if she's disguised, people are going to be able to match her face inside of a database. So she's going to have to really test her skills that she has in terms of blending, hiding, wigs, all of that. Issue 70 deals much more with the various assassins at different levels who are hunting her down, and how they utilize the dark web and other means, plus this face mapping to track her, and how it means that she can't really have a moment's peace. She always kind of has to be on the move. They also deal with the idea that there are different levels of people hunting her. Amateurs, desperate people, crazy professionals. And issue 70 does a nice job of making the more amateurish ones more obvious to the reader. They stick out because they're supposed to. Selina is not only trying to figure out who wants her dead, but she's trying to stay under the radar. But she's also trying to decide if she wants to bother still being Selina Kyle or vanish into a new life as she's done before. Since it's acknowledged that she's come to really enjoy being Selina Kyle, that she started to break some of her own rules. She's gotten attachments, even if it's just the things in her apartment. She's no longer is able to just get up and go. In this section, again, it's more about her things. It's not so much about Batman or Bruce. All of this Selina in disguise and being able to slip in and out of it, it dates all the way back to her first appearance in Batman #1, where she spent most of that issue as an old lady. And 70 plays with that on the main cover, where you have a bunch of variations on her. Now, some are very fun, like the nod to Carrie Kelly's time as Catgirl, or the Michelle Pfeiffer and Anne Hathaway ones that are stuck in there. Let me know if you have any favorites on this cover. Now, part of what's helping these issues feel like they're much more focused on Catwoman and Selina Kyle as an individual is the fact that she's been removed from Gotham. She flies to Berlin to investigate and reconnect with some of Evie Hall's old contacts. And so you get this trying on identity Selina. There's a cat-like energy to her presentation at points that's very apt. But other moments there's vulnerability or a calculatedness. She's not flat, and she also feels dangerous, but also like she's in danger. Faring a bit less well is the introduction of certain bits of information. For example, about this crime family they're introducing, which the reader learns about from a woman named Susie Sinner, a name that Selina acknowledges is probably made up. It said she felt like she was abandoning a sister, but there are some finger touches that could mean something else. Look at those fingies. Now, Susie is used to impart a lot of this new information onto the reader, and it doesn't feel clunky because Selina is meant to have been away for several years. However, in the middle of that particular issue 70, there's a bit of a divergence to actually see the family they're talking about in action. Perhaps it's because the font used to note the location change is so faint. The font is so streamlined, and while it matches the tone, it's a bit difficult to see, but it kind of blended and seemed a bit more seamless than the cutaway it was meant to be. It took a minute to realize that that was meant to be a tension-building kind of scene, contrasted to the earlier Hitman reveal that same issue, which was more clearly demarked visually. Though miles may vary, some may not have noticed anything like that. The fact that Selina can just walk around with a shirt over her Catwoman costume and a wig and blend into Berlin amuses me, but it tracks. So does when she just walks around in the full costume, to be honest. However, this also shows that the minimalist approach to some of the design on her costume was deliberate, which is something that some people commented on, that it looked like it could just be a regular outfit. It's because it's meant to be a bit more inconspicuous, but that's still not going to sell it to everyone. There is an amusing moment in issue 70 where she gets into a bit of a mini argument with one of the people who snapped a photo of her about cryptocurrency. How much is 100k Crycoin in real money? About 10,000 euros. But crypto is real money. Just because They have her photo, her location, and the name. Evie Hall. I did get a chuckle out of one of the people who's looking to help get her killed arguing with her about cryptocurrency, but at the same time, after her tirade in issue 1, would she use the phrase real money? Maybe, but it was something that I paused to think about. Now, Selina quickly realizes that she has nowhere to hide, and that the only way out is through, and she looks so annoyed on this panel where her wig is snatched, and also very caked out on the panel with the kick. I'm gonna kill you. That just smeared out censor bar for the cursing. I think I like that more than Grolix. Where do you land on that? Maybe it's just because the kind of art style that they're using that it feels a bit more seamlessly like it's blending there. Grolix feels like it would have stood out a bit more. Now, not only are assassins hunting her, but the reward is such that they'll take out others if it means that they can get the full cut. There is no escape, no new life, no new identity. There's some Bourne Identity energy to these proceedings overall. And if one likes that paired up with Catwoman, then so far what the DC All-In version is doing may be up their alley. Because it still is also tied to some of the more classic Catwoman things, like her ties to a crime family. Only now it's a different crime family in a different country because there's going to be a new history, a new element, a layer added that we haven't seen before, allegedly. Maybe, we'll see. Because it is trying to carve out something with creating these new ties and this new crime family and these other characters outside of the Batman mythos. So the test for some may be if they feel like or enjoy Catwoman enough as a character on her own to feel like she can sustain that. For those who prefer to see Catwoman tied more to Gotham, not even necessarily to Batman, but just to the Batman mythos. And again, this is only 2 issues in, so she still might, but so far she's off. If one prefers her more connected, this may feel a bit too removed. Or some may be concerned about all these new additions, while others may be keen to see where they go. The artist does a good job getting a variety of expressions out of Selina, which goes a long way to making her feel more well-rounded. Dangerous, sexy, annoyed, calculated, determined. There's a sense of danger in the way Selina is getting injured, and you can see as a reader that people are following her. But she also has moments where she kicks butt. It's balanced. The narration is consistent and establishes as well as matches the atmosphere of the comic. Now, admittedly, I'm personally more of a fan of Selina off doing her own thing, so this already appeals to me in that sense. Also, putting Selina into this kind of thriller atmosphere with all these people hunting her down. So far for me, it's been fun, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Selina still feels like Catwoman, even if she's far from the area people tend to associate her more with. Now, this worked for me, but I can also see it not working for others, so I want to hear your thoughts. Where are you landing with it? Did you prefer the past run? Had you read it? Are you new to this? Are you enjoying it? What's your favorite type of Catwoman story? Are you a Bat-Cat person? Of course, discuss the costume. Share all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time today to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.